camera on, please.
Thank you. Yes, I will. Thank you. She already did.
All right, let's get started. Pledge of allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Start with a roll call. Our meeting's been called to order, so we'll start with the roll call. On the phone, we have Annie. Is that correct? Annie?
Yes. You can hear me?
Yes. Yes. Michelle?
Yes.
Brett?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
And Tim is absent, and so is Todd. I got a couple things to add to that, so you guys look it over while I finish one over here.
Golly.
Okay, I'd like to add to the department report, I'd like to add Lisa Cernick after Sally Davis. And under new city business, 116 South Main. Anybody else? No.
I move to accept the agenda with those additions.
Second.
Okay. Motion to approve tonight's agenda with the two additions by Jason, second by Michelle. Those in favor?
Yes.
Those opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Is that our beach?
I don't think so.
That is the beach.
Who is it?
All our sand?
City council meeting minutes now at this point.
I move to approve the meeting minutes for May 12th.
Second.
Motion to approve minutes of May 12th by Jason, seconded by Michelle. Those in favor? For any further questions? Okay. Annie, I realize you don't have a copy with you, I'm sure.
No, I do. I have it in my email.
Oh, okay. Those in favor?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Appropriation ordinance.
Does anybody have any questions? I'll move to approve appropriation ordinance 1531.
Second.
A motion by Brett to approve appropriation ordinance 1531, seconded by Jason. Any further questions, comments, concerns? Roll call vote. Annie?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
Brett?
Yes.
And Jason?
Yes.
That motion carries. Public concerns at this time. Anybody here have some comments?
Well, I'm not on the agenda, so I suppose I'll fall into public
Are
concern.
you going to take more than 5 minutes?
No.
Okay, go ahead.
We need some gravel and some sand out there at the lake. The gravel has washed out on that one road that comes in from the
North.
west side.
Mm.
There's a big gully wash. And the sand has washed out over there by where the bathroom is. I drove across the dam the other day, I'm telling you what.
Who did?
I drove across
Okay.
the dam. It was terrible.
right?
It needs gravel too.
Okay.
I'm gonna make a comment on that, actually. If you guys look into it, there's actually, excavation companies out that can come out and actually turn over the existing gravel. So then therefore, all you're doing is paying somebody for their work. You're not having to pay for new material. Literally, it's an attachment that goes on the back of a tractor. It's got like tines on it. They drag it across the gravel. It turns it over and it looks like brand new. I mean, if the gravel's already there, there's no reason to bring new gravel in. Just loosen it up and turn it over.
You know the name of that company?
I don't, but I can get it for you.
Okay, I'm not opposed to getting information on
Yeah,
that.
that'd be awesome.
I will add too that I am aware of the sand being washed out. I'm also aware of the gravel problem we had, even though I haven't been here the last
Yeah,
10
the
days
gravel-
roughly, but
gravel problems, yeah.
but with the rain that we've had, I'm not a bit surprised that the sand's washed out, and then with the rain that we've had, I'm not
It's a
surprised that the
muddy
gravel's been
mess
pushed
out
out.
there.
Pardon me?
Muddy mess.
Well, yeah, that can be expected when it rains like it has around here lately.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll look into Josh's
Rainy.
thoughts there and see what we can do.
I need my outside shower fixed. And my outside light where they do the boats. The boat ramp light.
Okay.
That is all.
Got your cameras up out there yet?
I think they're sitting on the counter in the clerk's office, are they not?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
Were you gonna give us a report about the money from the,
I give it to Lisa.
Yeah, and I apologize. I didn't think to print it off, so I will get that emailed to you.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
because we haven't had one yet. have we?
Okay, anybody else on the public comments?
We
Yes,
had a
ma'am.
fire
Pardon
in
me?
our house, on Second Avenue,
Okay,
and we were wanting to know if we can, have the camper there while we're rebuilding temporarily.
we've allowed that in the past, so the council needs to give you information on that and timeframes.
I personally don't have a problem with it either.
I don't have a problem.
I think in the past, we've allowed 6 months, but if you need more than 6 months, then as it gets close to that 6 month time, then just ask us for an extension.
Yeah, we could.
A lot of free permits, so just keep track of dates.
Okay,
Oh, yeah,
We do.
please do that.
All right,
thank you.
not a problem. Thank you.
So I can make note of it.
I know where it's at.
I'll tell you, if you do the whole everything, if you come to a temporary power pole and off your current power.
Much smaller size now.
Yeah, that way you can plug it in and
My
that's how it's
finger.
very
we might need to get like a porta potty to put there
Yeah, pretty much.
or whatever.
Um,
Is that allowed?
Did you guys?
No,
She's
That's a good
asking,
number.
she's asking if she can, I mean, what is she?
Temporary porta potty, or
Do we need to have that?
do we need to have that, or how
How
do
to use
we,
the facilities on the
what
camper?
do we do? I don't.
I mean, if you want to use the facilities on the camper, you can use the link to, don't we have a facility at the link to do that?
Now, are you just wanting to
when
put the
we-
camper at your home, Lori?
Yes, it's.
Yeah, they're not going to the lake.
Yeah,
I think they can be hooked
I
up out
might
here,
get
can
one
they?
Yeah,
to put out
I
at
don't
the
see-
lake.
Can they be hooked up here in the city? facility?
That's part of the requirement, I believe,
For when
when
they're
we've
working.
allowed them, is that they tap into the
Yeah,
city
let-
utilities to be able
okay,
to
we'll
do
let
that.
them
know.
not a porta potty.
yeah, you can hook up to
So-
the city stuff to.
You don't have
make
to
that
hook
work.
up to the city stuff. That's how we've done it in the past when we've allowed people to do it.
Okay, I
Yeah.
wasn't sure.
Okay.
So how do I go about doing that?
Well, you'll come in and then do the paperwork that you need to be approved here for you to be able to stay in the camper first. And then you would talk to our city manager, Mike, about getting you hooked up to utilities.
Okay.
And just make sure you don't block the alley either.
Right.
Well,
no,
I'm thinking about moving out the little camper and putting a bigger one in there. And then, right, so that way, that way it won't block nothing. But I know there's something out by next to the house.
A gas line?
Plumbing or whatever.
No, she said they had a sewer clean
The
out.
Sewer clean out. We
From
had
their-
one put in when we moved in.
Yeah, so just a matter of getting water to
Right.
to the camper.
So, okay,
All right.
so just come back in here and fill out paperwork.
Yep.
Thank you.
And you can come in tomorrow. Lisa will be here.
Well,
at 8
and
to
I
noon.
have a question. I don't know what paperwork we have here anymore. Everything is done online at the lake as far as camping permits.
I think we
Annie, were you talking about a building permit for them to have that camper there?
Sally.
So just, I mean, they could just fill out a building permit just to let us know. That way we just have it on paper that they're being allowed to do that
Okay.
formally.
Yeah, that'll work.
So a building permit?
Yeah,
Okay.
and there'll be no,
Oh,
no,
no fee, of course.
and no fee.
So just fill it out for us.
Okay,
All right, thank
thank
you.
All
you.
right, all right, thank you. Anybody else?
Oh, do we need a building permit to rebuild the house?
To rebuild, yes, you will need one to rebuild the house.
Okay.
That's, I think it's what, $25,000 for the permit now?
Josh,
Oh, my.
Josh is over here having heart attacks.
You're trying to lighten the mood a little bit, if you know that. Yeah.
For 6 months at least.
Go away for a month.
That
and then
won't be a
come back.
problem, that won't be a problem getting that approved. All right. Okay, moving on.
There is a form, by the way, for the camper. Right, hear me?
Oh, yeah.
I've never seen one. So.
There is.
Not for the last one.
I'll look tomorrow.
Robin, you're up.
You're up. Oh, you want me to hand those out? Okay, and these are for Robin. She wanted me to hand these to you guys. I didn't realize she was still making copies. I got one for you, Annie, but you're not here.
Can I have it?
Yes, you may.
Thank you.
You'll have to tell me.
It's a little underwater.
It's
You
a
need more
tad
copies,
bit
Robert.
underwater.
It's a submarine dock.
I think this is the
Slip and
doc-
slide.
I think this is the transfer that's on the agenda,
Okay.
according to the address. There was an email that was attached from. Can you find his name?
Yes, Cedar. Estes.
Yep.
Walker to
Dave Frederick,
Estes.
Second tier, so no
Okay, 193.
survey was required.
That basically tells the tally.
Are you Estes? Okay, they're here in person, so I don't know if you want to stand up, in case anybody would have questions or. Joe and Vicky Estes are here.
Right, thank you for coming. The only concern that I have here is that the kayak is sticking way out on the side, so that's gonna exceed your
Well, that,
square footage that you're gonna have, so just.
that's not good.
Right, and I understand that this is not you guys, because that would be the former owners doing it, but just letting you know, nothing's allowed to be sticking out
Pass.
past the. So I'll move to approve.
Second. I heard that. You were almost there.
1993.
That came out.
Well, hang on. Robin,
Robin? Please. Okay.
Okay. Well, the only thing I'm looking at is we're jumping ahead down to new city business while we're talking to her at the same time. You guys okay with that? You have other things to report besides this?
On the 193?
Well, we
Wait,
just had
you're-
the department report and then
Yeah,
new
well,
city,
we're 292.
but then new city business is where that was listed. That's what he's asking on the agenda.
I don't think so.
Okay, all right. Okay.
Usually I think she gives,
I don't have anything.
does this
to-
during her department reports, is that not correct?
I think that's.
So I think it's just a confusion, so we're just kind of skipping the buoys and going straight to that.
Okay, who's gonna be doing the buoys?
Me.
Well,
All right, so hang on, then. We'll wait on the buoys.
Jesse did them last.
I see them right there on the thing. All right, so Robin, are you ready to do, the council's approved 193
they haven't
Cedar
voted on it
Circle.
yet.
Pardon me?
They haven't voted on it yet.
But they haven't voted on it yet. So we're waiting on, I was waiting to see what your answer was about your department report. I wanted to make sure that we weren't skipping anything?
I'm not sure, no.
Okay, so you have other things besides this to report, right?
Yes,
Okay, all right.
292.
And then you have something else after that, right? Like a floating dock?
Oh, well, yeah, that's.
Okay, all right. Well,
Oh,
I just thought maybe the floating
one
dock
that
might have
has
been your
pulled out in
report
the
and then
middle
this
of
comes
the-
under, but that's okay. Just don't forget that, right?
Okay.
All right, motion on the floor by Brett to approve the transfer from Walker to Estes at 193 Cedar Circle, seconded by Jason. Any further comments? Those in favor?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. You guys are good to go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Robin, what do you have next?
Okay, we get 292. Ponderosa.
There's those. There's two.
And here's what we got. Yeah, I guess I didn't talk about my iPad is here.
That's fine.
I mean,
Let's do this one.
so they're tearing this one out and rebuilding a new structure.
Is there anybody here from that? I don't-
Well, on the,
I think they want to make it bigger.
on the building permit, it just says that they're expanding the
Yeah.
current
They
dog.
want to make it bigger.
24 feet, 2 inches by 11.
Let me.
Has everybody got a copy?
I think so, yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
So the walkway is smidge
That's
over what we
2
allow.
inches on one side.
And what is that? Doing. Those-
So the walkway, when you measure it, it's 4 foot the walkway, and then the railings is what puts it
2
over
inches
the.
on each side, the railing.
Okay.
That's
So
it.
if they're doing construction, can you ask them if they can cinch that in, since they'll be redoing it all at the same time, and just correct it like all at once?
And they're going to 20 by 20, right?
Correct. Which is still undersized, so.
Is the diving board staying or going?
It says it's being removed
Okay.
on the building permit.
Okay, well,
And then they are also second tier.
Correct.
Well, just get back to them and let them know about the railing. And then there is a break in it, the walkway, right, for people traveling the shoreline that can get in.
Yes. Well, I mean, and not, one's down for a little further. I mean, they have to, and then the other one's up some steps. But there are 2.
Openings for
Yeah,
people to
yeah,
go across it.
Absolutely. Are.
Both numbers.
Yep.
Okay, I'll move to approve.
second.
And the only comment I've got is that once the construction is done, it needs to be inspected and make sure it's in compliance.
Okay.
I was gonna bring that up if, I don't know if like the clerk could document the time frame and have it just automatically to be put on the agenda when that time comes back. Or if we could do something similar to that. I just feel like maybe some of the inspections are getting lost, or maybe not.
I think that's probably Robin's responsibility to keep track of what's being
Yeah.
approved and what's being constructed, and once that's completed, or checked on it every 30 days or whatever it takes, you know.
I think that'd probably
Check
be
the
the easiest way to
progress,
do it, because
sure.
if they're coming to get a permit from us, they may not even have plans to start construction yet, so,
Right, but we have a time frame that they have to accomplish it in.
okay.
And that's what I'm meaning at the end of the time frame of when these docs are being approved, if it could just be automatically put on the agenda.
To have to
Yeah,
follow.
yeah, I'm just suggesting that
That's not the.
that Robin, as a public link officer, is aware that construction is going on And she can periodically check on it every 30 days, whatever, to see when it's completed.
That's a good idea.
Okay,
I'll revisit this.
okay.
That's
Well,
All right, so we have a motion to approve the construction permit or reconstruction permit for where we at? 292 Ponderosa by Brett, seconded by Michelle. Any further comments? It
Do
goes
we
in,
need to include with the intent of moving that in?
Probably better.
So add that
Make,
to
make
it.
sure that the new railings are within the 4-foot parameter for the walkway.
okay, you want that in the motion?
Yes.
Okay, repeat the motion then. Rephrase the motion.
Okay. I'll move to approve Frijon 292 Ponderosa with the intent that the walkway goes down to the 4-foot required. Width.
As stated.
Better.
Got her? Got it, okay. Okay, we'll restate that motion by Brett to approve the 292 transfer or 292 reconstruction work at 292 Ponderosa on their dock, seconded by Michelle. Those in favor?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries.
While we're on topic of the lake, you mentioned it at a previous meeting about possibly seeing about getting rid of the boat that was out there. I don't know if there's any more thought about that, but I just want to make it the council's attention that I would be subject to be interested in bidding that boat.
I haven't gotten a chance to meet with the maintenance guys yet because I was sick last week. I intend to meet with them and we're going to get together and get rid of a bunch of city equipment. And I think we had talked about possibly auctioning everything off, but I think I'd like to have a local sale first because we've had a lot of people with interest in maybe getting some of the old city stuff. So we may have a local sale first and see how that goes, but we'll be sure to let everybody know.
The boat will be one of the items.
It's going to be one of the things. that goes.
From what I heard, that it's kind of in rough shape. I could use some parts. I have inquired about since then, but I was just bringing it up to the council. I hadn't heard anything about it yet, so I didn't know
We'll make
where we were on
that.
that.
Thank you, Joe. Robin?
Yes, there's been a report that there's a floating dock out of the lake that the kids are swimming out to and jumping off of. And so we need to check into that.
Oh,
Mhm.
You know where's that?
but I
It's on
haven't seen it
Ponderosa
lately. It
Cove.
was on there-
Ponderosa Cove.
It was on there to be, I wanted-
I understand it's out there near where Jocko used to live, that cove there.
Mhm.
It's been there for a while.
And supposedly it's got a weight on it to keep it in place, but it's still a hazard and it's not allowed at the lake. So Robin, if you will investigate that, find out who is the owner of that thing and
I think we know the owner, don't we?
I don't know.
do you, Brett?
It didn't have a number on it or anything.
I got a call from Cindy about it. She
You
told
know,
me the name and it's like gone. I can
Fletcher, does that sound right?
no
Shatter.
Shutter.
Shutter?
Now, is that the same
Road
one
shatter.
that's been floating in the east dock for the last year or so
I don't-
and just relocated?
You think it's the same one?
Could be. I mean,
Because I don't know that we were ever able to identify where that one in the East Cove came from.
by the bridge down there, Richard, yeah. Because I noticed it was floating there and then it was
It
gone.
looks similar.
It was gone, so.
You'd think with all the rain we had, it'd go over the spillway and be in the creek bed by now.
Well, they have it anchored.
Okay.
Darn.
Do it on the east side?
No, on where it is now.
So they're pulling the anchor and moving it.
Okay. Yeah, it needs to be taken completely out of the water.
How do we propose doing that?
We tell them, you put it on it, get it, remove
we
it.
have to move it.
so my next question is, if it is the dock that Richard's talking about, because we still don't, that one kind of disappeared. So it could be, then we're gonna run into the problem of nobody wanting to claim it.
Right, I
So
mean,
is
it would
use
be
of
almost
it
our,
claiming ownership of it, or how does that go? Or is it?
If that's the case, do we want a diving dock? And it becomes city property?
I used to be a good diver.
I don't think we're allowed to even have a diving dock in our swimming area. I think we had one at one time and it was removed for some reason.
Insurance.
That would make sense.
I'll say there was
It was
one
a
there
thought.
when we were
It's
kids.
a thought, yeah.
I know, wasn't it
You can put a
awesome?
fish feeder on it.
It was.
You can put it over by the rope swing so they got something to land on when they jump off that.
Probably follow into this.
Sorry, what?
I
That's okay.
One 93 Cedar Circle.
No.
Okay, well,
I'm ready to cut that rope swing tree down. I'm sick and tired of picking up the trash over there.
Well, I've been an advocate for that for 3.5 years, Julie. I can't get approval to get it done. That's the problem.
I think it's been cut down and they just keep putting it back up.
No, we're talking
The
about.
rope's been
Okay,
cut down.
tree.
She's talking about cutting the tree down.
Oh,
I'm gonna put a
If
sign
you
up
cut
that says if they
two
keep
limbs off
moving
of it, they'll
trash,
never be able to put another one on there because it won't swing.
So maybe a little pruning.
A lot of pruning. Big limb.
Let's move on.
Okay.
Anything else, Robert?
that's something
Only
we'll have to
other
think about.
thing, it comes to mind for me on the lake is a new, swimming area, like the buoys and ropes that go around the swimming area. Getting new buoys because it's kind of dangerous with those pipes that stick up and,
I have that. I was bringing that up today too.
oh, thank goodness.
Okay,
It's
then
driving me batty.
Okay.
Dangerous for the
All right. Well,
swimmers and
Okay.
and
I'll
then
get some prices on that.
did we have a tree down over the holiday weekend somewhere that was cleaned up?
We did
Okay.
in our easement. Over off of Lakeview.
Okay. Thank you, Robert.
You're welcome.
All right. Sally, you're up.
Good job.
Thank you.
You can set them on my desk. I don't need them. Couple things I want to bring up. One of the letters I sent out about tall grass up here at the school. I've been informed they bail it. Has that been approved through the city to allow that?
No.
Mm,
I mean, everybody could say they're failing, right?
Technically, yes.
Oh, so I could let her.
So
No, where's this at again?
up around the school.
Oh, our school here in town. Here, the old school's here in town. Somebody's actually cutting that? I've never seen it cut.
No, I've been told that they bail it.
And I'm saying I've only never seen it cut with it baled or mowed, other than next to the curb in the street. I noticed that just before I left town. It was 4 foot high, wasn't it, up there
Yeah.
between the sidewalk and the old school? Nobody's bailing that.
They're
Hey.
bailing it, yes, they are. They do it about 2 or 3 times a year.
Well, according to our
Really?
ordinance, then they need to mow, they need to bail it more often then, because 12 inches is what we allow. Do you know who it is, Annie, that's bailing it?
It's the owners.
I don't think the bailer matters, it's the owner that's making it. Owner's the one that needs to be punished here.
Who owns it, Furman?
Yes, I think it's Furman's that own that.
Yes, it is.
Um,
Because I've sent them their final notice. They've got from the 23rd, what is today? The 28th. So I only got a few more days. I can go mow it.
No, let's wait and see if they bail it.
In the next couple days? Is that what you mean?
Well, how long did you give them, 10 days or what? How
Yeah,
long
10
you-
days.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
10 days.
next Tuesday is 10 days, or do you allow them for?
Because I told them that they had 10 days to redeem the problem. If no contact is made, formal action will begin.
Okay,
So we want to wait until the next meeting, decide what I'm doing? Okay,
because it falls between them.
all right.
Well, I would say.
I had a situation also, and I didn't make copies of this. A permit put in, by the time I went and checked it out, they already started pouring the for the back slab behind their house. They already tore it out. What do I do in a situation when they put the permit in? An hour later, I get up there and they've already started the process. Do I shut them down when they got cement truck there? And
Well, what action did you take? Let's start with that.
I went up there and talked to them, told them that I needed more time. They needed to put the permits in sooner, not the day of or an hour before the cement truck started.
Where was that?
It was up here, 108 Bellevue.
Because they called, I believe, if it's Bulgy.
Yeah.
They called and asked, they were replacing the current patio that they had.
So there's kind of one out, pouring a new one.
Uh-huh. I didn't think a permit was required for that, so
Yeah.
I could be at fault for that.
Actually, I mean, depends on how you want to read the permits, but even when they do some kind of remodeling, yes.
And we've now been informed that there is such thing as a demolition permit.
We knew that all along.
Yeah, it's in there.
So did they go ahead and finish repouring it?
Yeah. Yeah, they went ahead. It was the same size as the old one. And everything.
So do we have a permit for it now?
I've got the permit.
Then those address it, bring it out.
Do we need a demolition permit to tear that burn house down?
Yes, you do.
I do not know that. I'll come in.
I'm glad you brought that
and
up.
get
Yeah.
that.
Here, get out to hand it around. I don't have copies of it.
They're not in any violation on the property for anything, are they? I mean, do we need to officially move to approve it?
It's already
It's
It's already done.
When, and we already gave Sally the authority to approve these, right? I thought we had already
I
decided.
thought
on
we
that.
did that
Yeah.
meeting or two ago. Our only concern at the time was making sure that the property was not exceeding property lines
Yeah.
or easements.
Yeah, they just replaced the old one, which the old one needed to be. It was all cracked up and I've seen it before. So, okay. Do you guys oppose of me going around, and I'll let you hand this around so you kind of know what I'm talking about. All the sidewalks that have basically handicap access where they can go up on, if I go around and dig up the dirt and rock and haul it off and clean them up. Because I do know we got one person around here in a wheelchair and she can't get up some of those sidewalks.
I'm for it.
Okay.
I don't have a problem with it either.
Me either. I may be in a wheelchair someday if I keep going.
Now, I got a lady that is looking for somebody to mow her yard because she cannot get down here until the end of June. I've already sent her letters out since March. I told her I was not accepting till the end of June because the grass is pretty tall. It's Cynthia Limbrock's trailer. Do you guys have a problem if she pays Robin and I to go do it?
Is it $100 for us to mow?
I can't remember what the fee is. It's been so long, but I'm pretty sure.
And that's if it's a penalty, right?
But that's the penalty. I mean, I don't know that she should pay you and then the city pay you too.
Well,
so-
and that was the
So-
thing. I didn't know how we wanted to do it.
I think the concern here would be of interest if you were to be paid by her to do that while you're on the clock for the city.
Well, I probably wouldn't. If she paid me more than whatever you guys pay me, I wouldn't even clock in.
Well, that's the way it would have to be. It'd be like
Yeah.
a
The
private
preferred way to
contract.
do it would be is that she writes a check to the city and we send them up to do it. Right?
Just cover the expense of
Right.
having an employee and the mower run. So it
Some
wouldn't be the
reason-
$100 penalty, but
No, I'm saying
Or you're
the same
saying-
penalty fee, but you pay it to the city and our employees are doing it. Do you
So
know what I'm saying?
so the better way for the owner to do it would be to ask Sally to do it and pay Sally to do it personally, rather than have the city be involved at all.
She asked me if
Yeah,
I had,
exactly. That's where I'm going with that.
Yeah, I think that'd be the way to go.
It'd be cheaper for her too,
Mhm.
for her to have me, hire me to do it.
Yes.
So you're
on the side.
Yeah. She asked me if I had a list of anybody that was mowing, willing to do it, and I told her no. I've got a couple I need to talk to, but I know they're not around right now. So
I don't think there's a conflict of interest as long as you're doing it outside of work hours for us. It'd be like, who's got a job around here? It'd be like Jason gets off work and he mows lawns on the side somewhere. That's not,
okay. I just didn't want to.
you don't want to use company equipment,
Right.
whether it be a mower or a weed whip. You don't want to do that, and you don't want to do it while you're on the clock.
Here. What I wanted to know.
Okay.
Easy.
No. Okay. I'm good.
You done?
I think so.
All right, let's move on. Lisa.
Just a couple things. The Unbound Gravel Ride is coming through town Saturday. They're set up at the park about 6 and they should be tore down by noon. Barry's aware of it to make sure everything's mowed and bathrooms are ready and all that good stuff. We have a problem of some sort with these phones. And I know, I'm surprised we didn't get a notice, I guess, from KCC. We have to be able to leave, and I think I brought this up, an after hours emergency phone number, and the answering system no longer works on these phones. I purchased one from Amazon that's a 2-line phone, but because of the way this system is designed, I tried. I plugged the phone in and it will not work. So they were purchased from Embark 100 years ago. I cannot find a phone number like with Brightspeed to see what type of equipment or if they do that any longer. So I'm just needing some ideas of where to reach out to try to.
I'm just having a hard time believing. I believe what you're telling me, right? Maybe I'm having a hard time understanding why phones today aren't set up where you can leave a voice recording on it. Where you can leave a message.
Well,
mine says I'm not home because I don't want to talk to you, so leave a message. If I feel like calling you back, I will.
Terry,
Something like that, you know.
The phone I bought,
Yeah.
because of the way this system is in that storage room, it's just, I'm going to say a complex system. I mean, CenturyLink or Embark was here for 2 or 3 days installing that. So it's not just unplugging the cord and plugging it back in. The new phone, if it would have worked, it would do that. It was a digital answering machine. But anyway, we need to do something. I mean, KCC could come in and say, you don't have your after hours emergency phone number, and that's the problem. And
so do we need to get a hold of Brightspeed and have them come out and update our system?
Something.
We need new phones.
But I can't, like on their
network.
bill, I don't see a number to call for equipment. I'll dig a little farther, but I thought.
I'll help you look too.
Okay.
It as a short term, we could add a cell phone to our cell plan.
Lots of luck getting somebody that speaks English.
But I mean, maybe it'll be a quick, easy fix. But, at this time, you know, I don't know if it's, like I said, the answering part of the. I mean, it's a very difficult way to even program when it was new to get to because they had anyway a calling tree and all that jazz.
Well, when Dad to Lisa, I was making phone calls this morning trying to find out who did get the funeral home mowed, and the people I was talking to kept telling me, "Are you outside?" And I'm on that phone right there.
Yeah, in the office.
In the office, they're telling me it was windy; they could not hear me. And I'm surprised Lisa didn't hear me because I was practically yelling so they could hear me.
So anyway, if you can help me with that, then Terry, at least a little. And then the last thing, didn't know if it would be, at the time this was researched years ago, the city could not accept credit cards and pass that fee on to the customers. KCC will now allow us to do that. and that's how people go online and do the internet bill pay. I'm wondering if it's a possibility we could maybe implement that to accept cards in the office now.
Let's look into it.
I've reached out, the county
Easier.
and several, maybe the city of Alma uses a company called CanPay. They're actually based out of Topeka. It's basically for governmental use. And like I said, KCC now allows us to pass that fee on where we could not do that before. So if you don't mind, I mean, the fees are pretty much standard across the board as far as 2.5%, 3%. So, but, okay, well, I might reach out to them and see
Sure,
what,
let's
what
look,
we can
let's
do to
look
get
into it and see
started.
what that.
Everybody, it's a card world anymore.
Yep.
You know, and I've had a lot of, I shouldn't say a lot, but people do come in, oh, can I pay with a card?
Yeah.
Josh was probably one of them. So anyway, if I could do that, and I think that's it then.
Okay.
But yeah, there'll be lots of bicycles they're already around. I don't know if they do practices.
Did anybody get any
They're all
complaints
around
about the
today.
Memorial Day? Let's see, the cemetery being blocked by 4-wheelers where people couldn't go out and visit their graves on Memorial Day. I had two.
I didn't witness that, and
I
I
had-
probably was at the cemetery about 20 times over the weekend.
I had 2 complaints over it. People couldn't get their drive up in there. They had to park, walk through all that to get up there. But I don't know. I wasn't around, so I have no idea.
I don't know. I
Okay.
wasn't here either.
Well, the cemetery district didn't receive any complaints either.
Okay.
So
All right.
The cemetery looked really nice, though.
That's good. Okay. All right. Next up, buoys, Brett.
So I did talk with Jesse, and he had said that if we wanted to go the light route this year to just get by through the year, we needed about 7 new buoys. His suggestion would be, and I agree, is to just replace them all so they're fresh, which means we'll need about 18 to 20 because he has a couple more spots that he has in mind to put them at. There is, so at it would cost us $6,380 to replace all the buoys.
Yeah, and how long
Is
are
that you getting these?
Yes,
that's where we purchased them in the past, was Overton's.
which he said is totally fine. I mean, because they're legible, which he likes. And a lot of them that we have are not legible right now. Just the reflectors, what you have, that we're running into a problem with a bunch of them being cracked or broken. He did say that the way that Mike did the weights with the 5-gallon bucket and the concrete and the rod sticking out is good, but that he thinks that we need 2 weights, and then that way they won't be moving around. It's how he does it at other lakes, and they stay in place. So that's what he suggests.
How long do these last usually?
I think the last time these were purchased were in 2018, according to our software.
Okay.
Haven't we bought some of these in the last few years? I thought
We
bought
have
some.
not. We've just made do with what we've had. And unfortunately, in doing so, there's been lots of areas at the lake that needed them desperately that we didn't have them. I mean, correct?
That is correct.
I mean,
So a lot of
lake residents have been asking for buoys.
Apparently, during my first year here, that there were a lot of them that may have broke loose, and that chains and weights needed to be replaced. Is that what we did? Just chains and the weights?
Yeah.
Yep, that's what we did.
Okay.
We didn't replace the buoys themselves.
And I was going to echo the question that Jason asked. Is that
7 years doesn't sound bad for $6,000.
Well, and with having 2 weights on them, some of them may not move as much and be banging against things and scratching and
Does
breaking.
Jesse have any suggestions? Are they, I know we used to pull them out every year because of the ice. Is the
Mhm.
freeze and thaw?
No, he didn't think that there was a problem with that.
Okay.
Because he drops them at, maybe he said Milford, and they don't have any problem. The problem is that they're moving because they're not weighted down enough. But I can double check with them about that. But I think that we need to move on this sooner
Yes,
than
we-
later, because the season's already started.
Make a motion.
I come up with $57.60 for 18 of them, roughly $320 a piece. We should not be paying
Is that
tax
20?
for
Yeah,
18. For 18
so
of them.
this was 20 of them and
Oh, you
19.
want, so you want 20 and not 18?
Yeah, I mean, 18 to 20, because he had some spots that he wanted, and I don't think it would be a bad idea to have one or two that are extra on hand.
Okay.
And he may use all 20 of them. Because I know he talked
Does
about
that
putting
include the
one.
ones that go around the swimming area then?
No.
No.
Okay.
I do know that one spot he wants to put one is by the public floating dock or by the barracks, because he has been on the lake and witnessed them getting really close to that dock. And then he wants to put one over by the concrete sticking out over on the dam by the
Uh-huh.
rope swing. And a few other places that he feels safety wise needs them. And he'll drop all of them. We just need to get Mike again to get us the concreted 5-gallon buckets with the metal sticking out, the rebar. So that would be 20 buckets, would be 40 weights. Anyway, so I'll move to purchase 20 buoys
I'll second
and the 5-gallon buckets and the concrete weights and the rebar. Now when he pulls them, we may be able to use some of the weights. I mean, it'll just have to,
it. Add more.
yeah.
Do you want to do the motion to buy these things, and then after they're all pulled, we'll know how much concrete and rebar we're going to need to buy at that
If
point?
you're more comfortable with us doing it that way, that sure.
I would be. I don't know about the rest of you.
All right,
That's fine.
I'll move to buy them initially, 20 of them.
Not to exceed 6,400.
Yep.
Okay.
I still second it.
Okay. Motion by Brett to approve the purchase of 20 buoys from Overton's at a cost of $319.99 each, for a total not to exceed $6,400. Any further comments, questions, or concerns?
Just a question, I mean,
Yeah.
not a comment. They may add shipping on top of that, though, that would probably way exceed your 64
Including whatever shipping is. $6,400 for cost of buoys
plus shipping.
plus shipping.
Okay.
Good call, Lisa.
Okay, the motion's amended to include shipping. Not to exceed 6,400 plus shipping.
Second, again.
And that motion was by Brett, seconded by Michelle. Any further comments? Those in favor?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Okay, next up, under new city business, reviewing the ordinance 567, the keeping of animals. Brett, I'll
Did
read that.
everybody get the email or letter from Clay?
Yes.
I did not.
You did.
I got it.
Annie, did you get it?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. So Clay was one of the people interested in having the goats. I don't know, like goats are what's on the table right now. I think we've dealt with this as a case by case thing. I think the last time that we did something with the ordinances when the lady came in and wanted to have ducks, and we allowed the ducks, and we just did it by species or whatever. Clay and Kelly, in my opinion, because I wouldn't like have more than enough area to have 3 goats. They actually have the barn and the stalls. That's what the property was used for in the past. It's not, it's behind residential property. So did anybody else get a chance to go look at it?
I've been by the property before.
I live
So I
across
don't-
from it.
I mean, I'd be for them specifically having it. I don't know how we change it in the ordinance to word it so that like myself would not be able to have it then, because I live in obviously high residential. I have curbs and paved streets, and I have a much smaller yard, not a bunch of empty lots, which I think they probably have an acre or two there. Right now, we require 5 acres. So that would probably be a Todd question of how to word that, because obviously, like, I mean, you or I or you, I mean, we don't want to be having goats or anything in yards like that. But
Right.
as far as like that, or I believe Dolly would have enough as well. My dad would have enough on the outskirts. There's a few people, a handful, a half a dozen people that would have more than enough. And it's what some of those properties were used for before. And it's not tapped for utilities or anything either. So it's
not
just
what?
raw land.
It's not
Not tapped for utilities. It does have electrical ran to it, but I mean, it's not like there's been a house there or anything that's had sewer and all of that.
Is there a way that we could develop like a variance form? So when we have situations like this, we can have people fill out a form for a variance for whatever ordinance and their reasoning for that.
My concern, several things I'm concerned about. One of them is when you start doing variances, it turns into a favoritism sort of thing. It's not a standard thing across the board.
I agree with that.
I had 2 goats in the city at one time, and the city put an ordinance out that said that goats were not allowed. We were allowed to keep those two goats until they passed, but once they passed, we were not allowed to bring any more in.
Right.
For a long time, the same thing applied to chickens until the lady came in who's allergic to chickens and wanted to raise ducks, so we adjusted the ordinance for that. The ordinance currently says you have to have 5 acres if you're within the city limits. So if you start picking and choosing who can have the goats or any other domestic or farm animal, then you're constantly going to be changing the ordinance to allow for everybody to do what they need to do. So, Sally, you're a farm girl. You raise animals. What's your thought on that,
I
especially
have
for
pros
people
and
in the
cons
city?
about it. Like what he's talking, you can maybe have 2 to 3 up there because there's only 6 or 7 lots, which is under an acre. But again, I'm afraid we're opening the door because I know there's some people that's got a couple acres lots, like Brett said. Next thing you know, they're going to want to bring horses or cattle in. Then you're going to have the issue of them starting to overgrazing, and you're going to have other problems. You're going to have, it's hard to balance.
We had somebody in town that had 3 acres, I think, out there across from where Deanne Williams out in that area.
Yes.
And they weren't allowed to have their horses out there, and they had 3 acres.
I mean,
That's not very much.
I
Well,
see
they
both
they
points
were in
here.
violation and acquired the animals beforehand, which is why we didn't work
Yeah.
with them, is because they were a constant problem of doing things.
Well, that may be so, but the main thing was they didn't have the acreage to support, and that was the main reason, not because they
mean-
weren't working with you.
Where he's talking about 3 goats would probably be fine there. But I'm worried too, will it stop at 3?
Well, that's why I'm saying that
I
we
mean,
can make it stop at 3 in the ordinance. We can make it just be like we did. We just changed the ducks. We just did that. So we can make it just the goats and leave it no cows, no horses, no whatever. I mean, we can make
just
it
rewrite the
specific.
ordinance.
And we can, that's why Todd, I think, would be useful, because he would have a way to word it as far as like enough land consecutive, whatever, however he would say it and word it together.
I mean, I kind of gave you some pointers there that I looked up to that.
Right, did everybody get that from Sally?
No, I just gave it to you because I didn't realize
Okay.
we was going to talk about it. I wanted you to review it, and
Now, there's other things involved too, such as vaccinations,
yep, and that
fencing.
I would require that be done by vet.
Where do they get out? I mean,
Clean
I
it up.
don't have anything against Clay, but I live right next to where he's talking about. And him and Kelly both have full-time jobs. If they're at work and the goats get out and there's nobody to tend to them, then what?
Well, that's another concern I brought
Same
up.
as a dog
Yeah,
that gets out.
Except goats are the size of a small child and they like to headbutt. I used to raise goats. I know exactly what they are.
Well,
Don't eat the neighbor's flowers too before you
They
can get them caught.
that's, yeah. I
They could end
mean,
up on the other side of town, and a goat's a lot different than a dog that runs thing.
not every goat is that way. I know that personally. It depends on how they're raised. There is that concern. And I think too, in this situation like this, we need to have permission from the neighbors. We need their outlook.
Such as a conditional use permit.
The what?
like a
Such
conditional use.
as
Yes.
a conditional
Yes.
use permit.
That's why I was asking about a variance.
Which goes to
Instead
the
of-
county and letters are sent out and it's
Yeah.
approved that
Instead
way.
of changing the
Kinda
ordinance,
like
we keep a
that,
basic
yeah.
ordinance and then we can have variances.
I think
So-
that's the only way that you would be able to handle this situation is that variance or conditional use.
And that's,
I mean,
that is
how do we word
specifically
it
a
and
case
handle
by
it for
case
the
thing.
goats or for the ducks?
I didn't hear you.
We changed the ordinance to allow chickens and ducks.
But only
If I
certain
remember
ducks.
specifically.
No,
Yeah, because we didn't allow the squawking one. I mean,
The
there was a
scobies.
big discussion about it. Like, there's a
It
specific
could be.
ducks you can have, and there's specific ones you can't. There's specific requirements that they have to do to be able to come into it.
I know, Brandon, but that's irrelevant at that point.
I mean, you're just gonna have to reword it, and I would be a little picky about the fencing, because like Josh is saying, you know, what's gonna happen if they get out, who's gonna go get them, if they get their heads caught, if they're both working and gone all the time, because I know for a fact in the heat,
Except Kelly's not working. I
um,
mean, it was just to clarify that.
if a goat gets caught in that fence, they can die in an hour. Because they dry overheat, heat exhaustion. So I mean, there's a lot to play with it. I have pros and cons about it. It'd be something we really needed to sit down and discuss. And like Brett says, redo the ordinance, have Todd's wording, how to put it.
But I feel like Jason still have the conditional use permit
Yeah.
now.
Basically, we create a variance that we control each situation independently.
yeah, and my only concern with that, based on what I've seen, is that becomes a favoritism deal.
It
That's the way
can
it
be.
becomes. Oh, it does. If I like it, you're gonna get it. If I don't like it, well, too bad. I mean, I've seen it happen.
And that's,
And I'm not never been in favor of that sort of a policy,
No,
regardless of what it is.
I dislike when that situation happens, but that's the point of the vote to.
Well, I understand. I
Well,
understand.
we
I
can
think what's
make it
good for one is
required that
good
you
for
have
all.
to have an open area, like a certain amount of, we should really take note of how many properties there are that could have it. We should drive around. We should make a list of them. What's the smallest one? Use that as the model for it, I guess.
Are there any properties within city limits that are 5 acres at all?
I think there's only two maybe, or
The
Is
only
there?
one I can think of.
Dolly?
Carla Hafer used to have horses down on First Street.
Did they actually have 5 acres?
Well, I mean, they had property. I mean, it's possible. I don't know.
What
but
about
I
the
just,
northwest side of town, just behind the apartments, where the old meat lot used to be?
yeah, John Williams owns it now.
Yeah, Williams owns it.
How big is
Well,
that?
that's out of the city limit.
I didn't know how far it went. I knew he had cattle in there at one time. Was allowed because they used it. People that own cattle in town would have.
For processing.
I think on
No,
the north side.
People that own cattle would let it graze on
Oh,
that property
yeah.
over there.
okay.
But on the north side of the slaughterhouse was in city
City
limits.
limits, yeah.
But I think farther west and on the north side, it's out of city limits.
So I guess I can't have my permit.
So do you want to table the discussion until Todd's here in the next meeting?
I think so. Maybe do a little more research on the topic and see.
Yeah,
And go look at the property that specific to this one, to this that's asking for it. I just feel like my entire life until that ordinance was passed that restricted them, there was always goats and things there. That's why, I mean, it has barns and sheds and all of that. That's so, it's kind of restricting the property owners who have the stuff for it. And I understand why we had it. We had a block, what is it, on Cedar Street where they had it, and there was like 5 neighbors. You have 4 houses on one block, and they were having bucket calves, and I mean they had a menagerie of like 7 different kinds of things, and that's why the city came down hard in the beginning. My mom actually was one with Terry and Marcia that had goats, but they were grandfathered in at the time.
I think that ordinance became effective when a family brought cattle in and put it in their backyard.
Yeah, the bucket calves and the
and their yard wasn't big enough for a goat, let alone
right
calves. So table it to the 16th.
Yeah.
Okay.
The
All right.
16th
June 16th.
or the 9th?
Nope, the 9th. I looked at that wrong. Yeah.
June
okay.
9th.
June
yeah,
9th.
9th and 23rd are the.
June 9th. All right, moving on. 116 South Main. Josh is getting ready to do some more work on this building and needs to talk to us about that.
Hey, this is some crown drawing here. This isn't great, but hopefully you get the idea of what I'm trying to do here. So we've gotten to a point on this building that we need to start tearing down the front area, at least do on one.
Yeah, that'd be helpful. Thanks, Josh.
This front room, you can actually look through the window and see the rafters are actually bolted to the brick. So with the floor being rotten out, the roof's being rotten out, there's no safe way at all to go and unbolt said rafters from the brick. Now, they don't go all the way through. The bolts are mortared into the brick wall. So my worry is when we start turning this wall out or this room out, it's going to pull that brick down with us. So what I'm proposing here, and I've been told I got to get you guys' permission. This here on my picture is my building. This is going to be Crosswinds. This is the Greens place. We need a fence off and literally block off the sidewalk and the parking up to where KDOT owns. We can't go in there, obviously, but we need to take care of that. So that way, if something happens, I hope to God there doesn't, I don't have somebody walking on the sidewalk and getting hit in the head with a brick, or somebody parking in the street and bricks falling on their car. That's what I'm trying to prevent here. So the way to go about doing it is a couple different ways. I've been in contact with Kansas Fencing. They have temporary construction fencing that is 16-foot panels. They stand on their own. That's what I'm looking into putting up. That way, and I'll put signage up saying, "Hey, sidewalks closed, parking's closed," that kind of thing. No parking signs.
Are you gonna cut those bolts off?
No, you can't. You can't access them safely because they're 20 foot in the air, and you can't put a ladder in there because there's no floor. I've even thought about doing things the lesser side of the way and trying to use the excavator and putting a guy up on a bucket, and it just won't reach. That's the last thing I need is to have somebody on a ladder trying to cut bolts and the whole thing decide to come crashing down on top of them. I don't want that either. So the only way to go about tearing it out is with the machine, but there's the chance that brick's going to come with it. And with
You're
this,
talking about the facade of the building.
absolutely,
Okay.
it's not attached. It's its own seams. It's not attached to either building.
You're 100% sure of that.
Well, the only way to be 100% sure is to cut into it with a saw, because the only we can't see inside it. Obviously, the only way to I really want to keep it. I don't want it coming down, but there's the chance. The only way it would be attached is if when they put that brick in, they mortared in rebar in between the layers and drilled it into the side buildings. Do I see them doing that? I don't know. There's no way to go about doing it.
So has there, to me, there needs to be an inspection done to know what's going on before. I mean, somebody professionally is going to be able to say how that should be being taken down, correct?
Maybe if they've got any idea of how it went up.
And this building was built before any of us in this room was alive.
Correct. I just think that we need somebody's professional opinion as something is being torn down. And not, I know that you're going to be as careful as you can be, but like, you're not certified in tearing down the stuff or anything like that either. So
Although
my other concern is if we approve him to do it and something happens, that's going to come back on the city because we approved him to do that.
that's why I have an insurance policy. The city required me to do so for that reason.
For commercial buildings.
Absolutely. And he himself has called my insurance and verified everything that is legit.
So
In fact,
we,
and hold on, I don't mean to cut you off, but in fact, the per city code, it only asks for up to $350,000 of coverage is the most it asked for, and my policy covers $500,000. So I went above and beyond to make sure I was covered all the way around. And he talked to my agent. It's an umbrella policy, so it covers everything. It covers accidents, it covers damage, it covers everything. So that's where that covers something happens. That's where that would. But this is going to take the majority of the risk out.
This is required, by the way, by our local ordinance and state that the sidewalk be blocked. And the parking spaces in front of the building, as long as it doesn't extend into state property, which would be
Also in the code, state code and the city code, I've read it. It does say the property owner is in fact allowed to do so themselves. It does not have to be hired out per the code.
I'm guessing, Josh, you're asking for permission to block the sidewalk on.
Yes. However, while we're on the topic, we noticed some things today on the crosswind side. Before we go any further, I'm still going to block it off as long as you guys give me the permission. Before we go any further, I'm going to have a structural engineer come out here because code says I have to anyways before I put in backfill in there. However, we noticed on crosswind side of this said room, their wall is buckling on their side. And I'm afraid if we tear ours out, it may be the only support holding theirs up. So if we tear ours out, I'm getting an engineer out here any further. Now, whether that engineer is going to tell us how we have to tear down or whether he's going to be able to tell us how the brick is attached, I don't know. That might be somebody else's job. But after seeing what I saw today, there's several cinder blocks because the crosswind's wall is a cinder block wall. Mine is limestone. So we got to peeking through some of the openings and we could see busted cinder blocks and limestone is boned out. So like I said, I'm concerned. I have some concerns and I do have an engineer scheduled to come out and take a peek at those things. While he's here, if he would like me to, I could ask him to look into the facade too.
Absolutely.
Regardless of that situation, we have to have permission for this before anything else goes on.
When's he coming?
I don't know yet.
I like to be present.
I will make sure you guys know when things are being said, and if you guys would like, I can provide all of you a copy with the engineer report too.
We have to have one on file.
So
What?
So today, all I'm asking for is permission to go ahead and block off the sidewalk and said parking in front of this building.
And a time frame, Josh, for the blocking.
So
of the sidewalk.
I have this 100%. I have the phone call in, and I was told I was going to be called back this afternoon. That hasn't happened, so I'm assuming I'll get a phone call tomorrow from the engineer. But I'm guessing it's going to be blocked off probably 2 to 3 months. And that's just because I need time for the soil back there to dry out to be able to get equipment in there. I need time for engineers to come out, and if they say we have to do something, I have to go by what their recommendations are on how we got to do things. So I need time for that. So if it exceeds this time frame, I will bring it back to the council and ask for an extension. But as of now, that's the time frame I have at hand.
And you're not gonna start this until after the engineers come in?
Absolutely not. No, I was going to, and then we saw today, and we're not going to touch it. On the other count, all the rain we've had, the mud that's back there, I would bury the machine if we put it in there. So I'm not even going to go in there because of that alone. But I'm trying, guys. I'm trying to get this cleaned up as quick as we can. And I hope that you guys have seen evidence that I'm not messing around.
Of course.
So as of today, the permission that's being asked is permission to block off the sidewalk and said parking. Once the engineer gets involved, I'll bring it back to you and let you know what's been said. But it's on the agenda to have happen. So
basically, you're not going to put these up until after the engineer shows up, right?
correct.
Okay. So basically, it wouldn't start
Actually,
until
after what we saw today, it's not a bad idea to put it up now. I mean, the wind could blow. I mean, if you go back there and look, the joists that are holding that whole room up are like this. The wind could blow just right and push that floor out from under it, and then so it's not a bad idea to go ahead and do it now, just in case we have another windstorm come through and God forbid something happen.
we just can't block the road.
No, we're not going to have any fencing
road.
in the KDOT property at all. Just the parking and just the sidewalk. That's all I'm asking for.
We'll have sidewalk closed signs put up.
Right, and I'm going to use. They're 16 foot long. And I think he said they're 10 foot tall. So
I think this is a good idea.
While we're talking about blocking off sidewalks, not to get off subject of you, but we do have a building that's going with stone across the street that is a significant more danger that I'm concerned about than the front of his building right now that in my opinion should be blocked off immediately.
Maybe we should have somebody come in and take a look at that.
Let's finish Josh's first, because that could be a lengthy.
So do we need a motion to approve this?
yes,
I think it'd be a good idea to have that.
So I would move to approve the barriers being in place while construction is going on.
for the sidewalk and parking
Yes.
only.
Okay, can we take this as a permit? Does that mean you need to put a permit on file too?
Technically, it's part of the demolition permit because it would be a demolition barrier, and I've already put in for that.
So he's already got a permit on file for the demolition. We're just approving the barricade.
But
So
the
if you go-
sidewalk is public property too.
But he's not
because
demolishing the sidewalk. He's demolishing a building, and this is a safety barricade.
Exactly. It'd be no different than when you go see them build a building in Topeka and they
I think we still need to have something on file because if anybody questions why he's got
I
that.
think that's the point of the motion.
That's the motion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Second it.
Time frame, Jason?
You said 3 months tops, right?
And if I need more, I'll come ask you for it.
then we'll stick with the 3 months.
Okay, this is, today is May 28th. Let's give you until September 2nd day. Well, just a hair over 3 months.
That works.
In the-
I will amend my motion to add those dates.
Okay. Motion by Jason to approve the closing of the sidewalk and public parking in front of 116 Main for a period beginning May 28th and ending on September 2nd. Close of business September 2nd. For demolition purposes, seconded by Michelle. Any further questions, comments, or concerns? Okay, those in favor
Yes.
and those opposed?
I'm hesitantly going in favor. I'm just,
If you want to oppose it, Brett, you're not against opposing. You go ahead.
No.
It's still going to pass. Okay, motion carries. Thank you, Josh.
Thank you, guys.
Who owns the building across the way? Do you know?
And they were just here, they've been here for about 3-4 weeks. They
Yeah,
just
it
left
would have been a
to go back
great
to
time
Illinois.
for somebody from the city to approach them. And we've talked about sending letters. I mean,
Okay, moving on then.
tied our hands by saying that we can't do anything as council, but
Does, now we're down for mayor council concerns.
Well,
So ask the council.
I have one question. I didn't get an answer on sand or gravel for out at the lake.
No, we didn't give you an answer. That is correct. As far as the gravel goes and the sand, I think we need to wait a couple of weeks till this weather backs off. I don't want to put sand out there only to have it washed away again. Pardon me?
It's supposed to rain more.
Yeah.
right now it's kind of impassable, and the problem is we have no cone blocking off the road. So if a camper goes in there and hits it a different way, it could possibly tip the camper over. Is that not accurate?
Coming down that one road.
Right. It was left open. Let's see. I think the complaint was made on a Wednesday and it was left open all holiday weekend. So that's just the concern is that could have happened at any time then. It could happen anytime now. So we need to.
So we need to at least gravel it.
Right.
Gravel the road.
Whether it washes out again or not, I mean, the lake washes out all the time and we add gravel, but it is a safety concern, I think, especially with people coming with their campers. And they're not coming down by the swimming area and going to the bait shop now because the water pipe that was busted, that has a big dip. And so people are trying to avoid that. So they're specifically going that other way.
Yeah, that's the one area that actually really needs some gravel. Immediately.
And then
Oh, well, let's
where
move
it's
on. What are you gonna
settled
do
from
about
the
the
water
gravel?
line.
You guys make the motion to do something about it.
Who do we have do gravel for us usually?
Barry.
The guys haul it.
I guess I'm just looking for like maybe if you texted Barry and said, "Hey, haul a load of gravel out there and smooth it over," and the thing like I don't think we need to pass like a thing like it's a maintenance thing. We need to do it. Like I don't.
Yeah. Do you need anything from us? Can you just pass that on to the maintenance guys and have them fill in some gravel out there for us,
Well,
if you don't mind?
I don't mind. I don't mind doing that. I'm just curious as to how many loads it's gonna take to do all that.
Well, I mean, whatever it takes, it
And
needs
it's probably
done.
take 2 loads to fill in down that hill.
Okay. And what about
For now.
what about the water hole down by the restrooms, the showers?
There's gonna have to be at least 2 or 3 loads down there by the bait house and
And that's gravel also there, right?
yeah.
Okay, so
the
now we're
whole-
talking 5 loads. Now what?
And the whole dam needs.
Well, the dam we're going to look into something else.
Well, Josh is gonna give us
Oh, right.
information on that.
Yeah.
Graveling or whatever.
It almost sounds like that thing that Josh is talking about might be able to run down that hill from the road to the permit office and smooth all that gutted stuff out. I mean, we fill that up and fill that up and fill that. We're not solving the problem by filling up the gravel. We need to solve the problem where the ruts are being created.
The right way to do it is have somebody come in who knows about excavation, have them do the proper runoff.
And I am on my own time doing that very thing. I just haven't brought it up because I don't have any information on it to bring up. But he's exactly right. Because where they fixed the water line, it's kind of sunk in like that. And that's just running the water to the beach, which it didn't before. And that's why the beach was washed out. So it could be as simple as putting a curb in front of the bait shop that runs all the way to the ramp so that the water comes, hits that curb and runs to the.
Or a French drain.
Or what?
A French drain.
Mm-hmm.
You dig it up and you bury it 6 inches and then water hits it and then you direct it wherever you want. Somebody who knows about excavation probably needs to come look at it and see what you need to do.
Absolutely.
I bet Mike could really give us some direction here.
Mike?
Mike Bones, maintenance man.
Are you saying as experience in excavation? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying
Because I think he's the one who
guided
did the
me on
work in
drainage
the
in the
village,
park
so.
as well. He does know work. could get them to look at it and have them tell us what they recommend, yes.
Okay, but,
Well, if somebody wants to pass that along to Mike,
but in the short term, we need something out there now. So just 5 loads of gravel.
Probably.
Two on the roadway and 3 down to bottom.
Yes.
Okay. And then we can still consult with Mike and see what his thought is on doing the rest of that.
and I'm still gonna look into what I'm looking into.
Absolutely.
Okay.
With multiple plans in place.
And sand.
Well, the sand, I'm gonna wait on the sand until this weather clears up a little bit.
Okay, we should put some cones out there for safety precautions where it's washed out so nobody gets hurt.
So where are you talking about now?
Where the sand is washed out and it's down to the base stone
On the beach.
on the beach.
I don't have a phone.
There needs to be a cone there to alert people.
Can we have,
I don't have a barricade.
I lost my mind. Robin, bring some cones out to set them as a barricade temporarily until
Sure.
the weather clears, and then we can get there and fill it back in.
Okay.
And I'll get the information for you on this guy, regardless of whatever you guys decide. That way you have it in your pocket.
And I'll get the information for the next meeting, and somebody let Mike know, and he can get the information, and then we really should make a decision at the next meeting because we're coming into the second holiday of the season, and it really is it really needs to be taken care of. Like, it needs to be like a priority is what I'm saying. Whether we do it or we hire it done.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Okay. Any more council concerns?
Yeah, I would like letters drafted, letting the residents know about the sidewalk projects that's gonna be coming through. There's only like 4 or 5 people that will need letters, but I think it's a courtesy that we should send them so that they know that something's gonna be happening. So if they have any questions, they can come to us before the day before it's happening, like it's happened in the past. So if we could, I don't know, if you just wanna write something quick up, Lisa, and send it to them. I don't know.
Do you know when this is gonna start?
He didn't give me an exact time frame. We took longer to try to find money to approve the project, and he had some other jobs fill in, so he was gonna let me know, but it's looking like July
Okay,
would be the earliest. So
so just to be clear, it's from the bank
mhm,
to the Native Stone Byway.
right.
Okay,
So that would just quickly, that would include Rowley's, Mike Callison, Drew Kemp, Deb Keeley, Michelle, and Michelle, what's your neighbor's name? I forget what his name is on the north side of you.
oh, that beer giver,
No, the other side.
where the,
Okay, and then that guy.
so
So,
Oh,
it's gonna affect
I know
him?
her.
mhm.
Okay,
It's gonna run up his property to where the other sidewalk is already
oh, okay, I thought you were going on the highway side.
at.
Okay,
No, there's
gotcha.
no room on the
Okay.
highway side.
okay. Gotcha.
Don't mess with my pants.
So Julie spoke briefly about the rope swing out there, but I really think that we need to get a trash can out by the rope swing. It is becoming ridiculous with
Well,
the trash.
On that. That rope swing should have been taken down 3 years ago.
Well,
Insurance cover it. If something happens, there's an accident, we're liable.
and
I
it
didn't
is
think
still a
Exodus-
sought after spot because they jump off that concrete pillar there. There's a fire pit there. People do
It's
a
a
lot more than
homemade
just-
fire pit.
Um,
Homemade. I go out there and throw the rocks back in the water and I come out 2 weeks later and they're all back out there where they can burn again. And now we're gonna pay somebody to clean up after them? We shouldn't have to pay a dime to clean up after them.
And I
They should
don't
clean up
know
after
that-
themselves,
I
and
don't
they're
know
not
that
doing it.
Exodus will service over there.
They're not gonna service over there,
Okay.
but if we get a metal
Like a drum.
drum and set it there and the biggest trash bag that we can get and stick in it, at least they're gonna have something to throw it in that Julie can go over there and pick the trash bag out to take it to the trash can.
Here's what's gonna happen. I'll make a prediction right now. You put a 55-gallon drum out there and a trash bag in it. It's going to be the new fire pit.
Yep.
They're going to burn stuff in that trash can. They're not going to.
And I hauled off limbs that they put into their homemade fire pit. I picked up cans and trash and.
Yes.
But there's nothing there for them to put their trash. So even if they
They wouldn't be there if the rope swing
Their
wasn't there.
car.
Actually, Brett, there used to be a dumpster out there, or cart out there, but
and then
it's
the
in the
trash
lake.
service wouldn't dump it.
No, they wouldn't.
Yeah, the trash service won't dump it, but we still just had a city cart out there for the
And
job to clean up. We just had a cart, not a metal can.
right, you had
Their
one of the
vehicles
frost
work
carts.
nicely.
And Jilly brought it over to the lake house.
Cart would be better.
Yeah. But the cart's in the lake now.
Oh,
That's
never
why
mind.
that's what's happened to it.
Hot Wheels did it.
Yeah, that one bad windstorm we had really bad.
Everyone can think about it and have options, and I'll bring it up at the next meeting before the next holiday. I did also want to bring up that I think it's Barry, Robin, and Aspen's time for evaluations. Barry's been here for a year, so he's going to need an evaluation. So I'd like that to be put on the next agenda, as well as Robin. And I believe that Aspen's up for hers as well. So if they all three are, could you put them all three on for the next agenda, please? I also took pictures of the public dock that's out on the east side of the swimming beach with the boards coming up that need to be replaced.
Oh, we're gonna
Yeah, I saw that.
So I don't know if we can just direct them to our employees to assess it if they think that it needs to be replaced, or I mean, maybe we need to do something completely different, but we can't leave them up like that.
Is that like a rubber seam
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Looks like
right
it.
there?
I think it was.
And then the last thing is the long dock at the lake that extends from the bait shop. It has a hole in the concrete that somebody could step in and go straight through. I was talking to someone and they said they could temporarily do a quick fix for this season of it for like around $300 or $400. I don't know if if we want our guys to look at it to see if they can do something, but it really is something needs to be done before the next holiday. This isn't a very good picture. I'll send you a better one. And then the last thing I had is I was going to have Lisa explain the lights with the flagpoles from the last meeting.
What about them?
We had talked about them and why they didn't work and such, and you explained to me.
The ones that we got from the lumberyard would fit like a 1-inch diameter pole. And so, I mean, Barry had opened one and taken it out of the packaging, and we could not return that one. We did return one of them. So we got a credit of $40 on that. So Barry did look on Amazon to find some that would fit the 2 to 6 inch pole, and we ordered those. They were delivered and Barry's picked them up, so I don't know what the status is of the installation. From what I understood, we don't need one here at City Hall though. There's a light on this flag here. I remember listening to the recording, and I'm going to say 10, not that it makes any difference, but one at City Hall, 3 at the park, and 1 at the lake, I think is what he said. But regardless, we don't need one at City Hall because we have a light here. So I told Barry 3 at the park, and I think 2 at the lake, maybe 1 for the entrance and then 1 at the beach.
Yes,
That sounds right.
correct.
Okay, so that's anyway. But yeah, I mean, we've got the other light in here if you want to look at it, but it would only fit on like a 1-inch flagpole. So that's why those would not work.
Okay.
I think that's what I have on my postal flagpole, and just tie it on instead, or not It's like a metal zip tie. I don't know what those are called, but it's a different kind of thing to strap it onto the pole.
Mhm.
So that might be an option to use it anyway. I don't know. That's a different way.
The other thing is does anybody know if Aspen's been let know about the dog that's been running back and forth between the lake and Eskridge? I know that Tim and a bunch of people have posted on Eskridge Watch about it several times, but I don't know if anybody's actually contacted Aspen about it. I didn't know if anybody else knew. If not, then I was gonna have Lisa send her a text or call her tomorrow.
I haven't seen her or anything from Aspen.
Okay. Can you do that?
And about what dog was it? That tannish one that's been everywhere? It was at the lake yesterday.
Right.
That's what people were gonna go set some traps and catch it, from what I heard.
Yeah, I think Regina Wilson had been feeding it, and she's actually touched it. Red. So, and I think she would take it home and take care of it and either keep it or try to find a home for
I
it.
think that's what somebody said.
And they're great people with animals.
But it
So.
seemed like somebody out at the lake was trying to trap it.
Mm-hmm. And then the last thing I had is there a problem with me taking the cameras from the counter in there and installing them at the lake? I mean, they're just a push up there. There's no wiring needed for them. There's nothing.
I don't have a problem with that.
I just want them up because people have been doing stuff and we need to know like what's going on. Is that okay?
Works for me.
Okay.
Are you done now, Brett? You said last thing 4 times.
Do you have something, Annie, or are you just ready to go?
And yeah, I saw that we got Kelly Heison's application. So can we set up an interview or I don't know, a pointer?
Do we have, I'm not going to appoint her, but if you want to do an interview, we can do that. Or we can wait for more applications to come in so we can interview more than one at a time.
We've already interviewed several.
And I've made an appointment. Nobody took any action on it. So, you got anything else?
I met with the sheriff a couple weeks ago. Had a pretty good meeting with him. We've talked over probably the best way for us to set up a police department for the city is to actually establish our own police department. Basically following the model that Maple Hill uses. He said the Maple Hill does it for less than $33,000 a year. They have 5 permanent police officers assigned, and they work 30 hours every week, rotating through part-time officers. The city provides an AR-15, body armor, a vehicle, and the radio equipment. They don't have to provide any insurance, retirement benefits, or training because all of the officers that are hired on are from other agencies and work part-time for the city, but they're permanently employed. Sheriff Kirsch offered he's already talked to several of the surrounding counties sheriffs and asked around if any of them would be interested in, if they had guys who would be interested in doing jobs like that. And they all have officers who would be interested in filling that role. He offered his services to interview and vet employees, and even recommended that we use Deputy Williams as a chief of police if that's the route we wanted to go. If we needed a stopgap, if we wanted policing until we get our police department established, we could formally request that the sheriff's office provide city policing for us, but it would be a more limited function than our own full-time police department would provide for us. But he said in Maple Hill, they do ordinance enforcement, traffic enforcement. They're all certified for the county, so they can help with county enforcement, which is a standard practice for most of the cities in Wabunsee County. In fact, when your house was broken into, the 2 officers that responded were a Wabunsee County deputy and the city marshal from Elma. So it would be kind of a mutual aid setup like that, and so they'd all be certified to work everywhere in the county.
You said 30 hours a week, and that would be roughly 30,000 Dollars. is what we've
approximately
got.
$30,000 a year. And that's the cost in Maple Hill for 5 officers, providing 30 hours a week.
Okay.
He said there are vehicles on Purple Wave, retired police vehicles, pretty much constantly. They're well maintained and already set up for the equipment. They just don't have the equipment installed, so we would have to use the radios. So basically, we would need to purchase body armor, the rifle, an evidence locker, which is basically just a big gun safe, basically like the one we already
I
have.
mean, that's what that was purchased for.
Yeah. The vehicle and the radio equipment. And then they could help us set everything else up, and we would basically have our own police department. My intent, and I wanted to talk to Todd about how to set this up specifically, is to use mill levy to pay for all of that and put it on the ballot. That way it's a permanent vote by the people to approve it, as basically locking it in that those 15 points on the mill levy would be used to establish and maintain a police force.
And
So you're gonna increase the mill levy by 1/3?
And I think that would be the way to go. Now, and I know you want to use money at the lake, and I think that's going to be, it's going to be viable in the long term, because we would be establishing a police department that would basically police in Eskridge. We could expand the policing to the lake, and this is another thing that Sheriff Hirsch and I spoke about. Expand policing to the lake at a later time, and I think that would be the time where we would pull maybe funds from the lake, increasing the fees out there to cover that expense, to add more policing for them as well.
But since we own the north side of the lake, would that not also cover the north side of the lake in the meantime before that other is
Yes.
established?
Well, 15 mils is only 30,000. So that's 3,000 under what you were just saying. And like I said, it takes 44 mils to run the city. So you're going to increase it by 1/3. That's almost unheard of and never done for anything. So I'm not, that's.
So then the
really
next question is,
concerning.
we had a city marshal, where's the funds for that?
Well, we had a lot more people that lived in town when we had a full-time city marshal. Maple Hill that does this, they have about 700 people. We have 400. That's almost, you're getting into,
Right,
like
but we
they have
also
a
don't
considerable
need,
amount more people.
we don't need as many deputies either, so we could do it for a lower cost.
Well, they only have one deputy on at a time. I mean, I used to drive. for
Right, but they have 5
every
permanent
day.
employees. And we wouldn't have as many employees.
Well, there's other ways to raise money too that we can discuss.
Right, which we've been discussing,
Right.
and nobody else has come up with a viable option.
Well,
I have a viable option.
and there are other
If you're
options
utilizing
too.
rental leases that we have and increasing the funds to a more reasonable thing that's advantageous to the city, and I don't know why anybody doesn't do that. This mill thing is putting it on our citizens. We
It's also a
just
benefit to the citizens.
doubled our water rates.
It's not
for
putting a
employee
benefit
raises.
on all the citizens. It's putting a benefit on all the citizens, but the ones paying for it are the homeowners, the property owners. They're the ones paying for it.
Yes. But they're also the ones getting the benefit from the policing.
And so are all the people in town that don't
Yes.
own property. They're benefiting from it. So are all the people that's coming through town that don't own property. They benefit from it.
So where's the next option?
Well, there's a tax increase, a city tax, sales tax. That's one option.
Which we've brought up.
That would put us the highest in the state. That's ridiculous too.
Well, what do? You
Do a 0.5% sales tax and increase the mill levy by half and have more than enough to cover this. You can do both without hurting everyone terribly.
I would
Well-
love to know where somebody has increased a mill levy at this rate or whatever, anywhere for anything. I would love to know if you guys can pinpoint any town anywhere that doesn't have increased their mills for something like this. I mean,
I'm sure they exist, but nobody's going to have that at the table right this second, which is why you're saying that. So.
but you could have it, and you knew this was going to be talked about again, so you could have already had it. Like, I know the numbers.
I
I
can't
already
guess
had the
what
numbers,
things
so
you're
when
gonna come
the
up with.
conversation comes up, I know what I'm talking about.
Right.
Well, there's
Free and actually not ruin anybody's life, to be honest. And the water rates went up to cover the cost water in the plan.
That's not what the council said in the minutes, and I can pull those minutes back. It was stated for employee raises, and it was never stated for anything else, Annie. I can pull those minutes back for you.
Regardless, this isn't something we can put off.
Cover the
So
cost.
if we've got other options, we need to get them out.
Okay, there is another option. We could renegotiate our IT contract.
That wouldn't
Which isn't
cover
gonna,
the cost of this.
No, but it saves the city $80,000 over the next 4 years.
potentially.
Wouldn't cover the cost of this.
But $80,000 covers some of it. If it saved 20,000 a year, that covers 2/3 of it right there.
Still having a cost for IT.
Well, yeah, but if you've got, if the IT services in surrounding cities such as Alma and Holton, McFarland, Pottawatomie County, if their IT services are good enough for those communities, why wouldn't they be good enough for ours?
Why didn't we reevaluate that when we renewed the 4-year contract in August of last year?
Well, that's a good question, Annie. Why didn't we? Why
I
didn't we
think it's
just take the
because
bid that came in?
We
and
have a
just went
different
with it?
city clerk
An
that
alternative bid.
researched it and thought of the information. I think that's
I
the
didn't know we had a
more
contract with Culligan before. I thought it was just on. a
the answer.
monthly-
I don't think Lisa was the city clerk then, and she is now, and it's something that she came across and then researched, and that's how we came across it. Before it wasn't an option because
It was brought to the council. We approved it. We knew the cost when we approved it. So to act like we weren't involved is a bit silly at this point.
I'm not acting like we're not involved. I'm not acting like
I
that
was
at all.
replying to Brett.
no, I'm not acting like we weren't involved either, Annie. But that was the only thing that was brought to us.
Right. There was
So,
no
There
comparisons
was no
made.
comparisons. There was nothing. Now we had a comparison, and I mean,
We didn't ask for one. So that's why it wasn't brought.
are you against it then?
Comparison? I'm not even sure what we're talking about anymore. We were on the police department. Now we've gone through 5 topics. I never got an answer when I asked the question about interviewing Kelsey.
Yeah, I said we can interview him if you want to.
I think
I
you
did
got
say
the
that.
answer when Terry said appoint Kelly. And I think your
Here.
answer further to that, Annie, is that Todd sat here and said at the last meeting that there's nothing that we can do on this council without Terry's appointment of it. And he said, in no uncertain terms, he's not going to appoint Kelly. So I think it's a moot point at this point.
He actually said that because I didn't hear that just now.
He said that she had an old application. It was too old, so she put in a new one.
I was asked at a meeting.
I
record,
heard that
hang on.
too, but I've also heard him say several times now, I'm not going to appoint Kelly Heisel.
Okay, what is the reason? Is it a personal reason?
It is my decision to make, Michelle, as the mayor. The next mayor
What
can make
reason?
the next mayor can make the decision to appoint whoever he or she wants.
What reason?
It's my decision to make. I don't have to give the reason.
Yes, you do.
No, tell me
The
where I do.
council wants her,
Well,
and we want to know what your reason is.
you don't have the right to know what my reasoning is.
Oh, yes, I do have a right.
Okay, then I'm not giving you one. So take me to court, sue me, do whatever it takes to get that right granted to you.
So you don't think the council has any right to know why?
Not in this situation, no.
Or any control over who is hired.
This is a dictatorship.
No, not hardly. But
Yeah,
let's just go back a couple of meetings ago when Jason asked me if I considered Kelly for the position of clerk. Do you remember him asking that question? And my response was no, I did not. And when he asked me why, I said it's because she didn't turn in an application.
She did.
Now, she did not turn in an application.
She has since
She has since then, but I'm going back 2 weeks, so bear with me.
a whole 2
I'm
weeks.
or maybe 2 meetings. But he asked a question, did I consider? No, I did not consider Kelly. He asked why. I said she didn't turn in a current resume. So now she's turned in a current resume. That doesn't mean I have to consider her just because she turned one in. That doesn't mean I have to interview her again.
That was
It
your
doesn't-
reason then.
it
I
doesn't-
want to have a reason now.
Well, I'm not giving you one, Michelle. I'm not about to say what my reasoning is. I have my reasons why I'm not going to appoint a person.
And I think you should share it with the citizens because I have had people coming to me.
No, you haven't.
Yes, I have.
Oh, yell at me a little louder. Maybe I'll change my mind.
I have had people come to me
Why didn't they come to me? Not one person. Wait a minute,
Because
wait a
of your
minute, wait.
attitude.
No, it is not. My attitude. And then this approached me and said anything or asking me if she would come back to work, would I rehire? Not you or anybody in the auditorium or anybody on camera. Not one single person has approached me and talk to me
Brought it
about
up in
my
meetings.
reasoning.
I have brought it up in
And I'm
meetings.
done with it. I'm done with it. We're moving on.
We're
We're moving on. The next
not
mayor can appoint.
approachable to the people in this town.
That is BS, and you know it.
I think Terry.
I'm more approachable than you are, Michelle.
Terry is
Yeah.
approachable.
Oh, no, he isn't.
I know people that's gone to Terry.
Not
And asked
people that have opinions that are different from his.
Yeah, I can verify, Michelle. One person has, two people have.
One.
A couple people I know.
Oh,
for
a
fact.
couple.
Okay, all right.
Right?
Now I'm
Out of
moving on.
400 and some.
I'm moving on.
So
Moving on.
I would like options at the next meeting because we are running out of time if we're going to get this on a ballot. If we have other plans on better ways to do this, I need plans at the next meeting
Okay. All right. Well, like
because
I
we
said,
cannot put this off any longer.
like I said, one of the other options is the IT contract could be negotiated. Doesn't mean we won't keep the same guy. Doesn't mean we'll switch and get somebody else, but we might be able to do some things if we kept the same guy to get a lower cost for what we're spending as it is now. That's all I'm saying on that. Anybody have anything else? On the agenda, somebody's got bulk water under council concerns.
And I put that there.
And I
I've
think that,
had several people, I mean, there's several people that get bulk water down at the city shop. And there's probably 2 people, 3 people maybe that actually pay for it. And I know there's more than that. I mean, there's people that come in and say, hey, did Michelle pay for bulk water last week? You know,
Don't use my name.
and it's like, so I don't know if a camera could be installed down there, some system that makes people accountable and pay for the bulk water that they're.
So the cameras that are on the counter out there that go at the lake, there's 5 of them. There's only 4 spots that had the cameras originally. Can one of those be used to put up down there?
Why not?
I don't know if the main, if it's hooked into a main or not.
I think
It has to
there's
be
like a
within a
hub
certain
that-
distance.
I don't know. I don't know anything about those cameras.
I'll try to find out and see if one can be
But
thrown
I
down
mean, I
there.
think there's a lot of water leaving the shop.
There's
That's
been a lot of water leaving the shop for years.
I know.
I followed a vehicle from Dover a couple of weeks ago, and they were pulling a water trailer. And they pulled into town and they went down past the car wash. And so I followed them. They went down to the maintenance shop and proceeded to load up with water. So I got the information from the person and I asked her the next day if they were paying for water, and she told me they were.
Okay.
But I did follow somebody down there to check on that. Not the first time.
But if that camera doesn't work, at least maybe we can discuss that at the next meeting somehow to make people accountable. I mean, there's what they call a water salesman where it's probably a card now, card, coins, whatever. But I think that cost is probably a little prohibitive, but
How's the spigot set up? Is it
it's
one
a
that
fire
just,
hydrant.
is it a fire hydrant?
I
was gonna
believe.
say, if there was a way, I know like in Topeka, they do actually have keyed caps for those. You can make it a way to look into that to where they have to come to you and get a key and get permission and sign the key out. Then you know where it's going and who's getting the water.
Yeah,
Something along those lines might be worth looking into.
but so just
Well, the problem with that is that there's nobody here 24/7 to
Yeah.
issue a key.
That-
So if
they'd
you
have to
issue
come in
keys-
for business hour.
If you issue keys, well, then you don't really have people that have the ability to come during business hours.
That's true.
But if you issue these people that pay for it a separate key, then they're going to go duplicate the thing, and your problem is going to be tenfold probably. So yeah, there's got to be a better system to do that. I like the idea of locking it up and having a pass key, a little card, but that costs too much. Anybody have anything else?
Nope.
Motion?
We good?
Is the sheriff for the encouraging the 15 mil? I'm curious.
He doesn't have any input on that. That's on us.
He doesn't have any put on how
we pay
us
for it.
to afford it. Convenient. Okay, I move to adjourn.
Second.
Motion to adjourn, seconded by Jason. Those in favor?
Yes.
We're adjourned.
I'm not sure what you want to have it exam or sit there.
He's a cop. It's not his job to tell us how to spend our money. Yes.
Hmm.
Well, so I suppose it's not necessarily his job to tell us that we need a cop. He's encouraging us to stay on this path. But we came to him about having a cop. And so we've expressed interest as a city.